Before we start, I'd like to give you just a brief, a little bit of background on the Bretton Woods Conference. I have to say I worked at the IMF for many years, but only in my last stage of my career, appreciated really what Bretton Woods really was about. So I'd like to give you just a few background pieces to set the stage, and then we kick off with the discussion. So the United Nations International Monetary and Financial Conference, that was the official name, held at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire in July '44, was about restoring adequate conditions for resumption of international trade and development at the end of World War II, as Jay mentioned. It was about a new economic world order. It was truly visionary. It was broadly successful and remains probably the greatest achievement in formal multilateral economic policy coordination to date. It was about stability, economic growth, and employment. Exchange rate stability was seen at the time as absolutely essential to provide a basis for international integration. It was based on a long tradition of the principles of the gold standard, but tried to avoid its pitfalls. The system, as it was designed, more or less lasted until the early 1970s, with the collapse of the fixed exchange rates. However, many of its features have survived through today, in the form of the euro, in the form of Bretton Woods II, and in particular with regard to continued very high dependence of the international economy on the US dollar. It is the lubricant of the international economy and has at least three purposes. One, to provide a framework that facilitates the exchange of goods, services, and capital among countries. Two, to ensure there is enough international liquidity to allow orderly exchanges and balance of payments adjustments. And three, to provide adequate incentives for countries to conduct policies consistent with external stability, that is, not to incur sustained large external surpluses or deficits. Now, the system has been fairly successful on the first, less successful on the second, and far less successful on the third. Persistent large external imbalances, very sharp exchange rate adjustments, as illustrated by the global financial crisis, but also by the euro crisis, demonstrate that the system does not work as intended. The system needs to change. It has not adopted to the recent changes, in particular in the real economy, the rise of emerging markets in China. The system is unlikely to change on its own. It's not market-driven. It does depend on policy initiatives. As in 1944, there may be few other economic policy issues that will be more important for the development of incomes and growth over the medium term than the international monetary system. After 70 years, it is high time to take a fresh look.